Time we do an album, there seems to be something a little different drawing us in. We'd have to come back in about 3 years and ask me again, Alan, if you think is there something drawing us together?
You know, we're also intensely different as writers and as people. I mean, the actual five of us. But yet there's a sort of common bond there still, which is still there. And I mean, I think if we'd realised it was no longer there wouldn't have been another album, because I think that's important that we are primarily happy with each other as musicians and not doing it for financial reasons or because we're being pressured to do it by other people. I think the timing was just right this time.
Well, there's no reason why we couldn't go ahead and do what we all want to do after this and come back together at some point down the line and do something else. I don't think there's any great need to announce that we have formally broken up or not, you know. It's going to be a good year.
It's going to be a great year. One of the most interesting and innovative bands in the world has released their 15th album, and fans and critics alike are singing its praises and singing along with the music. They're also asking a lot of questions like, what took so long? Is there going to be a tour? What about solo careers? Will there be album number 16? Let's ask the only people who really know. Mick Fleetwood, John McVie, Christine McVie, Lindsey Buckingham, and Stevie Nicks. This is no mirage. For the next hour, we've got Fleetwood Mac, Off the Record. Can you hear me calling? What was the motivating factor to finally get all you Fleetwood Mackers back into the studio?
Fleetwood Mackers? Well, actually, I think it was probably me to start with. I don't think it was really a conscious effort to sort of get the band motivated to make another album. I think that was just a lucky accident. But I've been asked to record an Elvis Presley song called Can't Help Falling in Love for a movie. You know, they gave me freedom as to who I wanted to use and who I wanted to have produced it for me. So I just called Lindsey and Richard up and I said, "Do you guys fancy, spending a couple of days doing this song?" And they said yes, they love to, and we called up the rest of the guys, the ones that were in town. Stevie wasn't in town actually, and so we had, in essence, that was the first time that we'd been in a sort of playing environment together since the Mirage album, in the studio. So it's always worked that way. I mean, Fleetwood Mac has never kind of, poured albums out, once a year or even more frequently than that. We've always kind of had, 2 or 3 year breaks. I mean, admittedly, this is the longest and probably the longest it ever need be. But ideally, I'm sure that once every 2 or 3 years is pushing it a little bit. 5 is, we're just praying to the gods that people haven't forgotten us. For me, it's just like kicking
straight back in whenever, you know, the band plays, and more especially when me and John play. It may as well have been yesterday, to be quite honest. And that's a very valuable thing to have, you know. It's nice to know that that's always there, and I think we quietly sometimes maybe sort of not forget about it, but you're not aware of it until you pick up the instruments and start playing, and you go, here we go again. It may be a few rusty edges, but it's always been there, and it's exciting. You know, come the day that that's not there, I suppose that's when you give it up. So it's a privilege. It's great.
This will be the last Fleetwood Mac album or not, but I certainly would not have wanted to leave on the note that was struck with Mirage. This I would feel comfortable saying, yes, this has been a great thing. We left on a very, you know, positive note and go and you know, get on with some other things. I don't know if that's the case or not, or whether that will be the case, but you know, there's certainly a lot more to look forward to.
In fact, we'll be right back with more of Fleetwood Mac right after this. Talking with Fleetwood Mac's Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, Off the Record. For being that way.
Well, I'm not a family man. I have a girlfriend, but I'm not married. I don't have any children in the traditional sense. But I think that what that song meant more was that I tend to want to play ball. I want to be a team player on some, whatever I have gotten to now. If I'm feeling very strong about the future, and again, I don't know if there'll be another Fleetwood Mac album or not, but I know there's going to be a lot more from this camp. I'm coming into the most creative period of my life. Coming off of this album, feeling very strong. This is going to be around for the next year, this album. There's lots of singles on the record. It's a radio album. It's made everyone feel good. I've gotten to that point without hurting anybody, without stepping over any bodies, and helping other people, hopefully, along the way on something which is very important to them, providing that function for other people in the band. And I'm happy with that, because that's not usually the case in this business. Usually a lot of people get hurt. A lot of people have been hurt, and I didn't want to be one of those. So that's, I think, mainly what I was talking about in terms of being a fan